live. Hello, internet. We
On
are
the
here.
internet.
We're the Nerd Ledger. We're back.
Welcome, dear listeners, to the Nerd Ledger, where we cruise the inside of your ear so gently, but then with our knowledge and our hot takes that are usually pretty milquetoast. Actually, they're not pretty hot. They're not very hot at all. We're pretty.
Yeah, they're not. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. They're not crazy takes or
They're
anything.
pretty. I think they're pretty standard for the internet takes, to be honest.
They're only crazy.
Rational.
Yeah, they're only crazy because they're logical, rational takes, and most people on the internet are neither of those things.
No, not anymore, unfortunately. But they were never those things.
No.
Oh, man, I was 7 years old the first time someone told me to go kill myself. That's the internet. That's the internet, baby.
It's pretty standard.
Yeah, those early days were not. Halo Combat Evolved. Oh, so long time ago. I just remember Gmod being so toxic when I was so young, getting into Gmod and just hearing the most horrendous things. And then you would go into that little. They would have a theater where people could play any kind of media video, and then some people would just play horrific like cartel beheadings and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, I never did any of that shit.
Definitely not a good. I probably shouldn't have seen those things as a kid. Probably answers a lot of questions retrospectively. Probably should have talked about it with my therapist in the last 50 minutes, but I didn't. So we're just gonna we're gonna gloss over that. It's all right.
If children are listening right now, maybe you should deafen or skip ahead for your children, because the thing is, when I first joined the internet, right, my first experiences on the internet was at my friend's house because he had a computer and I didn't. And I was 10 years old. And we just looked up naked women on the internet. Just looked at pictures.
Oh my! See, that's so funny.
I did at the time. I didn't know anything about sex or any I thought you just used your dick to pee. Really.
Yeah.
When I was looking at those pictures, but I would get a stiffy. You know what I'm saying? And he had this toy dog, but it was really stiff, it was a long wiener dog, and we would just grab it and be like, "This is me right now."
Nothing great like just two little boys figuring out their own little bodies. Yeah, no, the internet definitely did some damage to the youths.
That was not damaging. That was very helpful.
I'm sure. Would have been more helpful, probably. I don't have an in-person experience earlier? Doesn't matter. Anyway, moving past this. Okay, good.
Don't worry, I was an early bloomer. My first kiss was first grade.
There you go.
When I was in second grade, I got caught making out with a girl in her closet by her dad, and then my dad picked me up. It was a very awkward drive home. When I was 10, the same age, looking at those pictures, but this was before I looked at those pictures. I married a girl, not really, but we did, and then I cheated on her with my babysitter who was 15 years old, and so that was great. I had a lot of great experiences as a child. That's where I peaked. Now I'm on my decline, but I'm married and I'm happy. So hey, things work out, guys. Eventually,
things come together eventually at some point.
Yeah. So anyway, kids can listen again now if they want.
Probably never again, to be honest.
I mean, we put the little explicit thing, on our podcast because we swear and talk about adult content. But we use adult language to talk about children's stuff. But whatever.
Yeah, like adults. Speaking of children's thing, a cartoon came out from a cartoon that started in 2009, and then there was these little commandos, and they got their own spinoff. And we were all going to be like, wow, the Bad Batch, who are they? Why are they getting their own show? That's really dumb.
And I don't care about those guys.
And then the Bad Batch season 1 came out, and it was actually pretty good. It was covering a period of transition from the Republic into the Empire, showing what's happening to the clone troopers and all the characters we got introduced to into the Clone Wars, along with some backstory for other characters we know and love. So, oh wow, what's going on? Oh gee, this is some deep pores, man. You need some lotion, my brother.
Yeah,
You definitely need to get. What's your wife doing, dude? She needs to get some lotion on that face.
She does not care about my face.
We
wouldn't be together.
You need to get some. You're selling yourself short there, dude. I'm telling you, get some lotion, get some shea butter on that thing.
I just have big pores.
And clean those pores right up. Anyway,
Does lotion clean your pores? I thought you need like face wash and a bunch of bullshit. I thought
Yeah,
lotion just like clogged your
let
pores more.
let it soak in, and then you rub it out gently with an exfoliating cloth, and you're good to go.
I mean, I rub it out gently sometimes.
Okay, all right. So the Bad Batch is a show that nobody really asked for and nobody really wanted, but it came and it was pretty good, and we're glad that it exists and we get to watch it. As stated before, to be optimistic about things still being alive. A lot of rain where we lived these past few days.
Yeah.
5 inches, 6 inches in a day is quite a bit for this year.
This is the most overhyped bullshit storm in existence.
I saw an entire gas station got upripped, and there's a lot of damage in Santa Cruz, and there's a lot of the coast got hit. The coast got hit pretty hard.
It's not been bad the past couple days. It was really bad on New Year's, like a New Year's Eve. Like that's where like the majority of the shit happened that I remember. Like power was out for a bunch of people. A tree got uprooted in our neighborhood and shit. Like yesterday, it was pretty windy and it rained a little bit, and today it sprinkled. There's nothing bad about today. Like at least
it's
maybe
still
not
raining.
where I am, but.
It's still raining. Yeah. Well, you're pretty far inland, and I'm pretty far inland too. That's the thing. Like again, like this storm hit the coast of the Bay Area really, really hard. Like I heard Santa Cruz, Monterey has some good damage to all the marinas and all their harbors. You and I can sympathize with them, all right? We know those dock boys got to get down there and they got to figure out what the fuck to do when they go to work.
No dock boy doing shit, okay?
Okay, they got to figure out how to sit down those boats, brother. Come on, man. What are you talking about?
Monterey, because Monterey isn't just for recreation, right? Where we work, it's just pure recreation. So nobody is going out wakeboarding in this weather. So we would be sitting in a Jeep with the heater on.
No, we wouldn't even be in the Jeep. We wouldn't even be in the Jeep in this weather. We'd all be home, and they would leave one person, then just be a security guard because it was like everything was shut down.
Bro, I never got sent home when it was raining.
Oh, I always asked to go home though because I was in college and I was working on homework.
Yeah, but you know what they do? They say, "Can you come work in the office today?"
Well, they do that. They started doing that to me too, Neil. Or even better is when I had to do both. Like, hey, go down to the Jeep. Okay, drive for 3 hours. Okay, come up and write 2 new contracts, and then just handle the phone. Like,
Bro,
crazy.
That was the most annoying shit. Where you're like the lead of everything. Like, you're the one who's making everything run downstairs. Like driving and shit. Like making sure all the boats are coming out and going in quickly and efficiently and shit. And then the people in the office don't want to fucking work. So as soon as someone comes in, they call you up. Like, motherfucker, what?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yep. It's annoying me so bad I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Bad Batch.
That's a thing.
The storms from the Bad Batch to something. Anyway, so the Bad Batch, these first 2 episodes, they feel like very generic Clone War episodes. You know what I feel?
These are short episodes. Yeah.
Not a whole lot was going on. It was a lot more actiony. Like they were on some dumb mission, pay off their dumb debt, so they could go do some dumb. They go fight the dumb empire. It's a story we've heard 1,000 times, but for now, so the mission doesn't go very well, and they get ambushed and this and that, and then they were going to do stealth, and the stealth thing doesn't work out. Who would have seen that coming?
Right.
With the guy named Running Crew named Wrecker. The only cool thing about it, I think, is that we get to see some other clones in action. And then I think at the end of episode 2, spoiler, because I don't think anything really happens in episode 1, does it? Aside from getting assigned on this dumb mission.
I mean, they go on the mission and then
they fight some crabs to show you that Omega's really good with the laser bow thing now.
Yeah. They did go to the Count Dooku war chest in episode 1, right? Like they actually arrived there.
I thought that was 2 is when they got there.
Maybe. I thought they got there they at least got there, and then episode 2 is when everything starts happening. But maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. I watched both episodes together, back to back, so I don't really remember where the cutoff point was. But yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot happening so far. It's just 2 episodes, right? And it's we don't really know what the series is overall gonna be. Season 2, we don't know what the overarching anything yet. It seems like it's gonna focus more on just them hiding from the Empire, doing jobs for the Green Trandoshan lady. But my guess is they're gonna try to split away from that and become more free. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, because there was that scene in episode 1 where who's the guy with the robot hand? I forget his name. What's his
Echo.
Echo, yeah, because he was one of the original clones from the Clone Wars, and then he kind of like got folded into their squad because they kidnapped him.
When he gets rescued, Anakin goes fucking wanko mode. He goes crazed.
Yep. Because that was his personal clone, right, or something like that. Like that was his like clone commander, or was that Cody or Rex?
No, his was Rex. Well, Rex was with Ahsoka, so it would have been Cody was Obi-Wan's. Yeah. But Echo was like that was like a big deal. I remember he was like torturing a separatist or some shit.
Yeah.
Anakin was, and he just
it was that spider. It was that spider guy. He said like, Jedi don't kill me. I just surrendered. And he was like, I don't have those weaknesses, and then he fucking cut.
It was also, I think he also tortured one of the guys from like the Techno Union when I was like, the Techno Union will pay. You know that guy?
Yeah, I remember. Anakin was doing a lot of fucked up shit in that show,
but it was so cool.
It was pretty cool. And then I heard Hayden Christensen's coming back for Anakin for Ahsoka, so that's gonna be freaking awesome. So there was this scene where Echo, anyway, going off of that, there was a scene in The Bad Batch, season 2, episode 1, where Echo corners Hunter, and he tells him like, "Hey, there's like a bunch of people out there fighting. We don't really know the timeline. I think you and I it's not really established like if it's going along with Andor, or if it's going like where they are, or if it's going along with Rebels or anything like that. They really haven't made any of that clear. Yeah. Because like Omega has obviously grown up because when they picked her up, like in season 1, she was like a little 6 or 7-year-old. Now she's like very clearly a little bit taller. She's very more like 11, like that 11-12 range. So I think they wanted to disclose that there has been some transfer of time.
Well, so I mean, she's also getting trained, having to learn about like the different classes of shuttles and ships.
Yeah. Tech has her learning all the ships. So anyway, Echo corners Hunter, and then Echo says that, hey, like we should be people are out there fighting the Empire. We should be doing more, like in a very serious way, and then just walks away from Hunter. And Hunter's like, damn, he's right. He looks at the ground all depressed.
He's like, I'm supposed to be the leader. Fuck.
Damn it, So then they head out. They Echo, they eventually get assigned to this mission. That's what her name is, Wanda Sykes, right? I really like to say she's really funny. Like her voice.
Is that who voices the transition lady? Sid,
the new girl. Yeah. So I really like her. She's really funny. She's really good in all the things she voice acts. So I'm glad to see more of her. Always. And they're just like, hey, there's this place with some cash. I honestly kind of glanced over it. I was a little stoned when I was watching it in bed, chilling, listening to the storm, because it was very, very windy where I was, at least. Like I don't know how windy it was there.
It was windy. Yeah, but
it was super windy because we had some blown over power lines and stuff like that. But we never.
When I was driving home, like I could hear the wind like whistling through like the hood of my car, like in the grill and shit.
Yeah, like in my window, and like the trees around me were all bending. Because, we got all the palm trees out here, so they were all going crazy.
Yeah, and you get all the palm fronds on the fucking ground trying to like.
I had to get up in the
legs off and shit.
There was an awful lot of rain this morning that started at 10. It didn't stop until like 4 or 5 o'clock. So we I don't know if it was sprinkled, but here was actually pretty heavy. Today? I had when I went outside, I started clearing out the there was a lot of debris in the gutters, so I did a little bit of that work.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say because when I leave for work, it's like 5:30 in the morning, and it was sprinkling. Yeah. And when I came home, it was 4:30, and it was
stopped raining. Yeah.
So, but I know it was raining during the day. It just, I'm inside. I have windows, but it's hard to see, sometimes out there. So yeah, I don't know. It could have been pretty bad at places today, but not for me. And that's all that matters. I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, the Bad Batch.
It's because it's the reason we keep going off on tangents. I think is because we want to extend This is our first episode of the year, by the way. Well, we had an episode yesterday, Tuesday.
2 days ago. Yeah, we talked about Tolkien. I didn't put it out as like a podcast because but I can.
No worries. Well, so this will be our first podcast of the year. Well, we did another little Twitch episode a few days ago for Tolkien's birthday. But the reason I think we're like going off on tangents is because there's honestly not a whole lot to talk about in these Bad Batch episodes. Like this, like major in any way. or extreme to
No,
the
yeah.
lore.
They,
Yeah,
like there's not a whole lot of character growth.
yeah,
Um, Tech gets a broken leg, which is kind of sad. It's a little bit close. People might have some PTSD from watching Andor and seeing what's his face get crushed by a
yeah,
box, and now this guy got crushed by a box, but he only broke his leg. All right, he's chill, he's fine.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, like it seems like they're building us up for like them to kill off some of these characters. To be honest,
yeah. Maybe they
um,
start fighting the Empire more intensely.
yeah, it's like I hope that they haven't, I don't know a better way to say it, like blown their load too soon, like with like revealing the Emperor and like the trailer and stuff, because like you don't want people just to be watching the show waiting for one or two characters to show up and then just being like disappointed every time they don't, aka She-Hulk with Daredevil. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people just watch She-Hulk to see Daredevil, and you didn't see him until like almost the last episode. So like people were
Yeah,
mad about that. Like, and it's like, you don't want that. So hopefully there's some more surprises for us all.
yep. Yeah, for
Throughout.
sure. Like, I'm not disappointed for sure. Like, I'm just excited. Like, to watch more episodes and
Yeah,
have a good time.
yeah, I agree. But overall, like, how do you feel about Omega?
I think she's fine. Like, like they're kind of building her up a little bit. Like, I think you may get pissed at this because she's not a Jedi, but I think they're kind of building her up almost like in the similar arc to like Ahsoka. Where she's just starting off one way, and then by the end of this, like wherever the Bad Batch ends, she'll be some sort of like badass super commando who can do all this crazy shit. Where she has like the demolition skills of Wrecker, the extreme intelligence of Tech, like the fighting ferocity of Hunter, and the whatever, maybe she has like some cybernetic implants from Echo or whatever, or whatever she learned from him. That's what I think that her story's kind of building up to be. By the end of this, she's going to be like a badass super clone commando.
Yeah, there was some weird tension with her and one of the clones
Mm,
because like she overheard them saying like all their problems are because of her, I guess.
yeah, something like that. But I think
Um,
Hunter, didn't he push back or something like that, or like we're alive because of her, or like we're in
yeah,
this.
well, even because Omega like didn't really confront them, but like Omega went to go find the jewels or whatever, like to help because you know because
She's
that's what she heard, and like so she
she's a child. She makes impulsive decisions. Like that's one thing
yeah.
we remember. Like it's easy to get pissed off at characters like that.
I think it's also Echo that she heard say that. And so like when because when they get split up it's Echo and Tech and then everyone else is and then it's Hunter and Wrecker, right?
Mm.
I think. How many clones are there?
This is fun.
There's 5, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, man, I'm
Sorry, one
fucking.
second. I just got a text from my mom.
Oh
Sorry,
no,
one
it's
second.
all good. But yeah, so she hears Echo kind of like say this thing, and then she goes to find the war chest, container or whatever, and then she finds it, and starts taking the jewels or whatever, but it's falling off the cliff, so he comes and saves her. And like he's like, "Yo, what the hell, man?" And she's like, you kind of said these things, and I feel bad because I feel like all your problems are because of me." And he's like, "Yeah, I did say that, but you got to understand that we also wouldn't, we'd be one of those mindless dumbass clones if it wasn't for you too. Haha."
Mm, mm.
You know, and you kind of do see like all the now stormtroopers who used to be clones and the uniformity. Oh, this is the important thing, I guess. The end of the second episode is pretty significant because the Empire thinks that Clone Force X is all dead,
Yeah,
and one of
and I
the
think.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say one of the cool scenes from episode 2, I think, was when I think it kind of shows why clones eventually would die out in the Empire is because like they're really obedient and they're like in line with orders. And as more people, as more officers like wanting to do extreme things to get ranked, like to get ranked up and noticed in the Empire, are doing extreme things, like they're gonna get like backstabbed, which is what happened unfortunately to they're fighting a clone regiment for the entire second episode, essentially. They were using their stun guns and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you have this Imperial officer who's like, "Yo, I put in my report, that they died on Camino, yo, like they Clone Force X is dead, you know." And the stormtrooper is like, "Yo, well, I mean, I can't falsify a report. That was Clone Force X. I saw them. Other people saw them. It has to go in the report." And he's like, "Well, if Tarkin finds out, I'm gonna get in trouble," and he just straight up murders him.
Yep. And it shows like it shows like why the clones just wouldn't jive in the new Empire. Very unfortunate, but true.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, and like at least it gets you excited for, I guess, the future episodes. It's always weird, or it kind of sucks that like when these things come out 1 week at a time, because it's like it's harder to like kind of digest, right? Like because you can't just keep watching; you have to wait. This is
like I'm kind of coming around to it. I like having something to look forward to, like every week again. There's
fair.
like there's a lot going on in the world today, so it's nice to have like these little like tidbits of where I got man when I get home after a stressful day, I can at some point like where I just get in my bed and take off all my clothes and sprawl out and chill under my covers and just turn on the TV, turn on my PS4, go over Disney Plus, watch the new episode of The Bad Batch tonight. 24 minutes of blue light, like I just get zapped right into my brain. And then I turn off the TV, read for about an hour, and go to bed. It's like a good little routine. It's a good little routine that I'm building where I like watch one episode of something and then read and then go to bed.
Pretty good.
Because after I finish the TV, like I don't pick up my phone at all anymore. Don't do any of it. Like no, because that blue light from the screen, I guess, is like bad for you or something. I don't know.
It's kind of overstated how bad it is for you, but
everything's probably really bad for you these days anyway. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
yeah, I feel like. Yeah. Anyway, that's way off topic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool. And you're right. Like, it is good to have things to look forward to. I mean,
yeah.
Like, especially like right now, like the content's kind of dry.
Yeah. We're in a little bit of a like the New Year's, just that week between Christmas and New Year's is fake. Everybody knows it's fake. Nobody
ratings don't matter from like December to February.
Yeah,
so.
don't put anything out and just.
Yeah, but I mean, Ant-Man the Wasp comes out in February, so that's something to look forward to. But well, I mean, more so to look forward to is when tickets go on sale, which hasn't been announced. My guess is they go on sale Sunday because there's supposed to be a new trailer.
Give me a date.
Wait, the date of the movie?
What day are we going? Do you know already?
I think it comes out on like the 17th or 18th.
Nice.
So it'll be the day before. What?
Of this month?
No, February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
It's probably the 16th we'll go.
I'm going to put it in my planner like an adult because I'm trying to be an adult this year and use all these things I have to organize my ADD brain. My scatter brain, as I just like to call it.
February 17th. So we'd go on the 16th.
All right, so that should be good. That should be a good date.
Yeah, but
time, not date. We're not going on a date. We're going on a podcast date, I guess, kind of in a way, because it's two close man friends going out doing things together. People can still do that these days.
Yeah, I'm also an adult with appointments, so I have an appointment on the 14th of this month for an eye exam.
It's very adulting.
Yeah, and then I have a dentist appointment on February something. I don't know. It's in my calendar because I'm an adult.
I need to send I just got covered California. I sent it for a really good dental plan they had, so I'm gonna try and.
Yeah, I got a buy up dental plan. I just got a buy up everything plan.
Yeah, well, thankfully, I'm sure your system, has corporate usually gets pretty good benefits. Covered California, they're working with Kaiser, and Kaiser's actually pretty okay.
Kaiser's garbanzo.
Well, it just depends on like what you need them for.
$130 copay. Miss me with that shit. Fuck that.
My guys, I don't have a copay in my. I don't have a copay at all because of Covered California, and also my checkups are
Well,
$15
you're like
only.
self-employed, aren't you?
Yeah,
So, yeah, I don't qualify
but
for that.
I don't make any money. So
Yeah,
I think you should
our
check your bed.
work,
You should check.
my work, has two like variations of like healthcare payments or like what you'd pay for your health insurance, and it's based on because we're like a company that believes in like living healthier and whatever. So we have this like thing we can do, and we have the whole year to gain points for like a healthy living kind of. And so like if you like are doing things that are on the list that give you points, like getting checkups, like exercising, drinking enough water, participating in like events, giving to charity, financial wellness, like all these different things, you can earn points throughout the year. And if you reach a certain threshold, you get like crazy cheaper insurance. So like I pay like probably like $50 a month total for medical, like vision and dental.
That's one thing Covered California doesn't have is vision. I, as a glasses wearing person, will probably have to worry about that at some point in my life, but not right now. Costco actually has a really good vision plan. And the Costco doesn't even have a vision plan. Costco has this thing where you walk in and there's a vision guy who works there who doesn't charge you an arm and a leg.
That's where my appointment is.
Oh, there you go. So,
I don't even like Costco.
what? Their hot dogs are bomb, dude.
Costco is the most overrated warehouse store in America.
I don't know what you're talking
right
about.
with Sam's Club. They're all shit.
Kirkland brand stuff is pretty good. You can get really good alcohol there for pretty cheap, and you can also get some really good bunches there for real cheap.
Yeah, I don't drink alcohol.
That's where you get all your that's where you get all the coffee from too.
And I do not need 1.5 pounds of everything.
Oh man, sometimes you do though.
I mean, if you're having like Costco is great for having parties, or if you have a big family.
Or if you have family,
I don't have a big family, and I don't give a shit about most people. So, I'd rather just go to a regular store and buy a big thing of chicken.
But the food court though, okay, the food court. Come on, man. I mean, the pizza, the cheese pizza is really good. Pepperoni's okay because the pepperoni slices aren't that thick, but it's whatever.
I get it. Their hot dogs are decent, but they're boiled, and boiled hot dogs are just not great.
And the churros are really, really good.
The churros are absolute garbage. I hate their churros. Like they're always stale and disgusting, and not enough, cinnamon sugar. The best churros are at Disneyland. Prove me wrong.
I don't know. Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk has a pretty good churro cart.
I haven't tried that, to be fair. Also, food trucks, like local food, like Mexican food trucks, have great churros.
Yeah, no, I'm all for food trucks nowadays. My parents took them a long time to come around because they had this experience with food trucks in the 80s and 90s. It was not very good, apparently.
Yeah.
But now it's a lot better. So.
I got DoorDash from a food truck the other week.
How did that feel?
Very way overpriced because it's DoorDash. Ridiculous, absurd. But I got a very pork adobo grilled cheese sandwich, so.
There you go.
That was cool.
Yeah, those DoorDash fees like sneak up on you really quick.
Bro, I swear. Go on DoorDash, look at a menu, and then go to the store, and you'll see every price is inflated by like 30%. And then on top of that, they charge you fees because they need to cover whatever. Why are you charging me fees if you're already marking up all the food? Like, it's so absurd. And you know what? You know what it is?
The secret is because all the companies actually want everyone to go into their own apps. Because the Panda Express app, it's actually like I always spend a lot less money when I order delivery through the Panda Express app than when I order it through DoorDash. And so whenever
not only do you spend less money, you earn rewards.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Panda Express doesn't have a reward system, but McDonald's is like the points.
Is trash.
Panda Express is just meat rolled in sugar sauce. I don't know what you're fucking insinuating. It's delicious. White rice, man. Orange chicken is the bomb diggity.
The thing with Panda Express. Like, it's okay, right? Like, it's not great. Like, their teriyaki chicken is fine, but their rice...
You don't go there for the teriyaki chicken.
Well,
you don't go there for the rice either. You go there for the chow mein, bro.
I don't eat any of that shit.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
And their rice.
I'm not gonna appreciate you throwing my boy Panda over here and taking him and throwing him under a bus.
If I'm gonna
He's got
go to like an Asian restaurant, like Chinese, Japanese, Hawaiian, whatever,
yeah. I'm sure you have
with,
a lot of good options in
without a
Sacramento.
doubt, I'm always getting teriyaki chicken pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, any of those options. And so what it comes down to is the teriyaki chicken good? And most of the time, the answer is yes. The other question is the rice good? Because Panda Express rice is not very good. It's very dry. I like a little bit of moist, sticky rice. Hawaiian, very good rice. Japanese, usually pretty good rice. And you know what? The best teriyaki chicken I ever had was at a place called Hibachi-san in the Arden Mall, and they closed it. And the reason why their chicken teriyaki was so good is because they use chicken thighs and not chicken breast.
yep.
Anyway, this is completely off topic, but
Because
that's fine.
once again, there's nothing to talk about in nerdom, so maybe this may be a 30-minute or episode. I don't know.
I mean, there's some news, but it's pretty boring. Stephen Amell's coming back as Green Arrow for the Flash season 9. Nobody cares.
There's some nerd news for gamers. If you're like me, and gamers, a lot of gamers know Awesome Games Done Quick, which is like a speed running for charity kind of thing. They do two times a year, one for summer, one for winter. Apparently, the CEO just kind of left. I don't know. There's been a lot of drama building up around that event for years, so I can't wait to hear some of this juicy drama on all my juicy drama YouTube channels.
Yeah, there's more drama too around DC now.
Yeah.
This report came out from Variety, essentially saying that Ezra Miller might possibly return to the DCU after the Flash because he stayed out of the limelight or whatever, like
For too long, yeah.
Like the report said, like DC execs are saying like he might stay on. Motherfucker, you think James Gunn lets Henry Cavill go and then brings Ezra Miller back? Are you kidding me?
That would make everybody mad, dude. That would make everybody so mad. Because the
no
thing is,
way.
like, it's like how you said, they're trying to do Flashpoint, and you need the same Flash to make Flashpoint work because the Flash is the guy who's the anchor who grounds you through as he travels through all these vibrates through all these different realities, right? So the problem is that when you introduce Ezra Miller as the main actor, and James Gunn, what James Gunn needs to do is reboot the whole series, but he doesn't want to fucking do that.
Well,
that's the problem.
We don't really know what's happening yet because nothing's been announced, right?
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that James Gunn said, well, the reason we recast Henry Cavill is because we're doing a younger Superman movie, not an origin story, but like a younger Superman, right? And that's the reason. That's what he said, right? And he's also said, we've talked to Jason Momoa, we've talked to Ben Affleck, we've talked to all these people, blah blah blah, right? But a lot of people are unhappy for one reason or another, and you get all these kind of like hit pieces or like random things like where all these insiders think they have so much fucking knowledge, and then they release it and people publish articles and they just don't. So either they're lying or James Gunn is lying, right? Because what James Gunn is continuously doing is addressing these rumors and saying, no, none of that's really true, right? So this week, the drama is Variety came out with an article that says James Gunn's 2 to 3 year plan doesn't include Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, right? And then the news was Ezra Miller could potentially come back, right? And someone said, hey, yo, James Gunn, what up with this stuff? And he said, I don't know what's out there about Ezra, but our slate is 8 to 10 years, not 2 to 3, right? Like, so these weird reports are just like either false or James Gunn is lying, right? And we don't really know which is true, right? We just kind of, everybody's picking their sides right now. And if you like Snyder and his work, everybody's picking the side of all these bullshit rumors. And if you are a fan of James Gunn and his work and have faith in him, then, you're siding with him. Like, that's just kind of how it is. And it's kind of weird. Hiring James Gunn and Peter Safran at DC should have made DC much more functional. But, like, there's still so much dysfunction and, like, drama and bullshit surrounding it. Like, give it a couple years, I'm sure it'll die down and everything will kind of be smooth sailing. But, like, it's still so toxic.
Yeah.
What I will say is James Gunn has also discussed, like, they're going to reveal a little bit of their slate this month, I believe.
That's all I can do. Like I said, nobody trusts anybody right now. DC, like Warner Brothers, is continues to be a shit show. They've taken everything they've got and they've ran it into the ground. This Henry Cavill thing really pissed me off. Like, it really did. Like, it's like, oh, he's back now, he's not back. That is such an unprofessional, stupid, shitty, awful thing to do to an actor and to fans of the actor and to the general audience as a whole. Like, it really is. Well, and you just can't, I don't know, man. I'm starting to.
Well, Warner Brothers. Let's all be honest with ourselves. Warner Brothers is a shit company that is run terribly, right? And it always.
Okay, now let me ask you a question to really get you. What do you think's run worse, Warner Brothers or Manchester United?
Warner Brothers, because
damn.
At least at least with Manchester United, let's be honest, our owners do not give a shit about the club. They just want to make money, right? Like with Manchester United, it's run poorly from the top down, but the owners still spend money. Like, they still spend a lot of money on the team because they know they'll make that money back in like shirt sales or whatever else, right? And so even if they're buying players that they spend a lot of money on that don't work in our system or whatever, I mean, they're still good players, right? And now our owners are selling, so I don't give a shit anyway. And we have a great manager, and he has a plan, and people are listening to him. So Manchester United's in a good place, but Warner Brothers isn't. The problem
so that answers that.
Yeah, Warner Brothers, as long as they've had DC, like, they just haven't been run well, like, ever, right? And it's not a shock, it's not a surprise. So what happened when The Rock announced Henry Cavill returning, right? Like, this week there was also kind of like a hit piece against The Rock, right? And WB is kind of well known for these hit pieces they do against people. And essentially, I don't know if it's true, but essentially the report is The Rock wanted Henry Cavill to come back as Superman, right? Because he wasn't coming back, right? And the people at DC said, no, he's not coming back. And apparently The Rock went above their heads to the CEO of Warner Brothers to get him to come back. And the CEO of Warner Brothers said, all right, chill, we'll bring him back. And so that's why he came back. And then, without a deal in place, they told Henry Cavill to announce his return as Superman, which he did. And then they hired Peter Safran and James Gunn, who said, well, if we're going to do this thing, which I'm sure part of the negotiation before they even signed the papers to take the role, they said, we need full creative control and we need to be able to do whatever the fuck we want. Because if you guys are telling us what we can and can't do, it's going to be utter garbanzo. Look at your past fucking 10 years, all right? Let us do whatever we want, and we'll take the job. And DC said, well, they're right, we suck, so hey, you do whatever the fuck you want. And then they said, well, you didn't actually sign Henry Cavill. We have other ideas. We want to establish our universe this way. We're going to let him go, right? Which then pissed off a lot of fans. And what I think the biggest misstep is that despite how communicative James Gunn has been about things, he's not as transparent as people might think, because there's just crazy speculation now about, well, is he rebooting everything? Is he just recasting some people? And then it's leading people to hate James, who already hate James Gunn, to say, well, he's going to keep his actors that he had for the Suicide Squad and then recast everyone else because, what a favoritism or whatever. And then other people are saying, well, what about this and this? And like, nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And it leads to a lot of speculation and a lot of people saying, I'm out, I'm not on board with this. And again, to me, none of it actually matters, because the people who are saying these things aren't the majority of people who are going to go see the movie anyway, right? Like, the majority of people who are going to go see James Gunn's DC movies don't know any of this shit right now. Like, they don't pay attention to it because they're normal people that are well-adjusted who touch grass and go outside and whatever and have friends. Like, most of us don't.
They don't sit around and sit savor over this news and slobber and scream and yell at James Gunn on Twitter. I'm going to go do that right now at James Gunn. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, it's a big movement on Twitter. Fire James Gunn is a huge movement on Twitter. Yeah. But, like, it lives on Twitter. And most people don't. Like, the majority of people in the world are not on Twitter.
Are you saying Twitter isn't reflective of real life opinions, and that most people on here aren't very well emotionally adjusted?
If you go on Twitter, all you see is restore the Snyderverse shit. And let me tell you, the majority of people in the world don't want that shit. Because if they did, Snyder would still be making DC movies, right? Like, that's just kind of how it is. And you see all these people say, oh, well, we didn't get the arcs we were promised. We didn't get to see Superman fully, blah, blah, blah. Like, all this stuff Zack Snyder had planned. What the fuck? He didn't run Warner Brothers. He didn't run DC at Warner Brothers. How are you going to say, yeah, it was his plan. He had a huge plan for all, like, he was in charge of a couple of movies. He wasn't running, just because he kicked it off. Jon Favreau kicked off the MCU. He's not running the MCU. Right? Like, I don't know where people get their ideas and how they think. But again, it's Twitter, and people aren't rational on Twitter. And, you know, like, it's such an echo chamber that it's hard to ever care about anybody else's opinions. So, or open your eyes to the way other people think, or change your way of thinking. It just doesn't happen, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. But
yeah, and then just Twitter, once again, is just not the best place for your mental health. Let me tell you, homie.
It's just like why I try to stay more far removed from this. Like, with the James Gunn thing, like, I'm not going to actively go against him and say all this bullshit or whatever, but I'm also not going to, like, say, oh my God, what he's going to do is going to be so amazing. Like, I'm just going to wait to see. You know, like, it's one of those things where, like, you see this shit on, like, there's so many fake insiders as well on Twitter who always post shit like, this person's going to be in this person's going to be in this. And, like, you know, I have a friend who just calls me and he's like, dude, did you see, Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire are going to be together in Secret Wars? Like, bro, if they are, that'll be cool. But guess what? I don't give a shit. I'm gonna wait and see, because if it's not true and I just believe everything I fucking read and I don't see him in the movie, it's gonna piss me off. Because I was promised this shit. That's how fans view things. We were promised this. Listen, fans need to stop. I also see, right? I'm sorry for the rant, okay? I'm sorry. It's just what happens. People say, listen to the fans, right? Have I done this rant before?
Probably not. Sorry, I started scrolling on Twitter. No. It was like a muscle reflex. I just started scrolling. I was like, yeah. So you make some points, but it all boils down to Warner Brothers fucking sucks ass, and everybody hates it, and it sucks and shitty that DC is once again a gold mine. They're sitting on a gold mine, and they're like fucking blowing it up with dynamite, and they're going picking up like chunks of gold and rocks, and like, here we go, guys. Here's our fucking payday. When what they should be doing is what they should have done with James Gunn, 15 years ago, which is like, hey, we need to get some precision tools to mine this gold. We need to make like a big, beautiful mine shaft. We need to make sure all the safety precautions are done. We need to make sure everything this and this and this. It's just a fucking shit show. Like, how else do you describe Black Adam other than it's like a shot. It was just such a shot in the dark, and like this dude was going around unhinged, saying like, this is the movie is going to rock the planet to its core. He was the number one celebrity right up until that movie came out, and then I just think it did untold amount of damage to his reputation. I'm slowly starting to see it. Like, he's posting less, he's spending less time like tweeting and stuff like that, and when he does post, it's like it doesn't get as many likes. So
I mean, the thing is, like, this is what DC does, right? Like, it has always just been super dysfunctional forever. Like, it's nothing new. The thing is, like, now that there's someone at the head, they're gonna make hard decisions that people aren't gonna like. And the thing is, when you hear the people who are dissenting right now, the thing they continue to say is, listen to the fans, right? Listen to the fans. I'm sorry, I don't think that studios should listen to fans. Like, ever. I think studios should do what's in the best interests of their
story.
Making a good story, doing things that serve their story.
That's the foundation. Is a story. Is like, you need to have
exactly.
When George Lucas sat down and wrote Star Wars, he wrote episodes 1 through 6, and then he chopped it up, and he's like, all right.
I don't think he did that.
Okay, well, he did 4 through 6, and then he like chopped them up into 3 movies. And then there was a book he was very inspired by that he read a lot, and also so that helped a lot too. but he made something that was like, he wrote, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna write out the story from start to finish, and then I'm gonna make movies out of this, which is what you're supposed to do. That hasn't happened here at all.
When you get this whole listen to the fans thing, the thing is, like, my first question is which fans? The comic book fans, or the movie fans, or the normie fans who you don't agree with? Like, which fans? Because the idea that all fans agree, or that a majority of fans all agree on one thing, it just isn't true. Are you talking about the fans that every time a new young blonde actress comes up in Hollywood, they say she should play Spider-Gwen in a movie? Because I've seen that like 30 times in the past fucking year. Like 30 white blonde actresses who are young, who started that are getting popular this year. Millie Acock, who was in House of the Dragon. People said she should be Spider-Gwen. The other the blonde girl who was in Wednesday, the Addams Family thing on Netflix. I saw people fan casting her. Like, should studios listen to every fan cast too? Like, no, they shouldn't. They should do what's best for their fucking stories. They should hire the most qualified people for the job. They should write the best story they can and do things that serve that story. The best comic book movies aren't great because they're based on comic books. They're not great because they're perfect adaptations or follow the character to a T and the story to a T. They're their own stories that have the characters we love doing the things we want to see them doing. Like, that's why they work. Like, I don't get what's so hard to understand about that. If you want something and it doesn't happen, that doesn't make it bad, right? Movies should, surprise us and blow our expectations out of the water. And this is, to this day, what I still think it works so much against The Last Jedi is people's expectations of what it should have been, instead of just accepting it for what it is and then analyzing that, right? The biggest criticisms are, they didn't do this with Rey's parents. They didn't do this with Snoke. They didn't do this. These were all set up by J.J. Abrams in The Force Awakens, and they didn't happen, and that's why the movie's bad. Motherfucker, J.J. Abrams himself said he didn't set shit up. Like, he was just making a movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of just what it is. Like, I don't... Like, there are fair criticisms of The Last Jedi, like the Canto Bight shit. Like, all that can be cut from the movie, but it's not a terrible movie, right? And, you can argue about Luke and all this Force stuff, and yes, it's kind of weird to see fucking Princess Leia flying in space, somehow surviving. Like, yeah, I get it. There's legitimate criticisms, but there's also a lot to like in the movie, and I'm not saying you have to like the movie. I'm just saying your criticisms of art shouldn't be what they weren't. It should be what they are, and use that. Just use what is actually there. So, anyway, don't listen to fans.
Including us, for sure. Do not cite this podcast and any professional.
Yeah, unless you want to hire us and put us on, like, syndicated television or something.
Have us pay us millions and millions of dollars to go and argue on the internet, to go in front of a fancy camera.
Yeah,
wear a suit.
I mean, G4 brought back Attack of the Show without any research. They just hired people. Like, why can't we do that?
Exactly, bro. We need to get a game show going.
Yeah, we can just be on ESPN, you know what I'm saying?
What else can we talk about, bitch and moan about? Well, ESPN actually has a pretty kick-ass, their esports, like, coverage team is actually pretty good. I do that late night watching it. It's fun to watch late night ESPN, like, because they do esports a lot. So it's fun to watch. Like, they do, like, tournament reruns.
I guess there's some other drama. It's not really drama, but apparently Hugh Jackman addressed Bryan Singer's behavior on the X-Men set. So anybody who doesn't know, Bryan Singer directed the first couple X-Men movies and then came back and did First Class. I don't know if he did other ones, but he's just a terrible person. And there's so much... if you guys care about why people don't like Bryan Singer, you can research it. But apparently he's just a terrible person. Hugh Jackman was asked a question about it, and he pretty much said, like, X-Men was his first time doing a movie in America. He's like, you got to understand, it was all new to me. I think it's fair to say that there are some stories, I think there are some ways of being on set that would not happen now, and I think that things have changed for the better. There's way less tolerance for disrespectful, marginalizing, bullying, and oppressive behavior. There's a zero tolerance for it now. and people will speak out, and I think that's great. So, take that for what you want, whatever that may imply or may not imply. He also said there's a lot of things at stake there. X-Men was the turning point, I believe, in terms of comic book movies, and I think there's a lot to be proud of, and there's certainly questions to be asked, and I think they should be asked, but I guess I don't know how to elegantly answer that. I think it's complex, and ultimately I look back with pride at what we've achieved and what momentum that started. And I guess the only thing to say really is Hugh Jackman's experience maybe isn't everybody's experience. There might be people on set who were way more mistreated because of their statuses or whatever. Like, nobody really knows. But all we really know is Bryan Singer is not a good person, apparently. Other than that, yeah, there's a report about Dwayne Johnson's frayed relationship with Warner Brothers. That shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Dave Bautista did an interview as well, kind of just saying, I don't want to be The Rock. I want to be taken seriously. I want to be a good actor. Pretty much saying, like, he doesn't want Drax to be his legacy because he feels like Drax is kind of a corny character, I'd say. But I'm sure this has to piss people off because anybody who's read comic books again, and is familiar with Drax the Destroyer in comic books, know he's a very serious character, right? Drax in James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy movie is not a very serious character. He's kind of a joke, right? And he's kind of like he's another one of those, I'm the big tough guy in the team, but I'm also kind of an idiot, similar to Wrecker in The Bad Batch. Haha, bringing it back. This is a very overplayed trope of just like the big, strong person on the team being a dumbass, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he is. And it works in the Guardians movies. And again, it's probably because the majority of people seeing those movies are not comic book readers. And to be fair, the majority of people who read comic books don't read Guardians of the Galaxy because it's never been a great comic book series. This is what Dave Bautista had to say. He said, I'm so grateful for Drax. I love him, but there's a relief that it's over, meaning after Guardians 3, he's not coming back to the role. He said, it wasn't all pleasant. It was hard playing that role. The makeup process was beating me down, and I just don't know if I want Drax to be my legacy. It's a silly performance, and I want to do more dramatic stuff. He said, I had to pull over. This is when he got cast. He said, I had to pull over because I was crying so hard. I turned right back around and walked into my house shaking to tell my wife I had gotten the role, and we both started freaking out. They don't include in this article the part where he says, I'm not trying to be The Rock. But yeah, he did say that too. So, I like Dave Bautista. I think he actually is a pretty great actor, to be honest.
Yeah. He was really good in Blade Runner 2049. I really liked him. I really like Blade Runner 2049. A lot of people hated it because it was like too slow or whatever. I just found it very intense.
I feel like Dave Bautista just has a lot of range.
Yeah, he does.
Because like you see him play Drax, and that's one character. But then I don't know if you watched Glass Onion. He was in that.
No, I didn't.
But he was pretty great in that as well. And then I never saw Blade Runner 2049, but I'm sure it was also a different kind of role. And he was also in Dune, right? So like all these different roles he's in, like he does he's a very good actor, and you kind of expect that because like, well, maybe you don't. Like the thing is, WWE is acting, but it's like corny acting, right? So it doesn't always translate over well, but like, there's some foundational things there that you have the foundation of playing a part, so you understand that. And not all WWE stars who become actors do a great job. Like, The Rock had a pretty rough course. Even John Cena, like most of the stuff he was in was pretty bad. Like the only thing I think that I actually can take him seriously in is Peacemaker, because he's not meant to be taken seriously. I think he does a good job in that role as that character.
Yeah.
But like, he was in Bumblebee, and I'm just like, dude, I can't take John Cena seriously as the villain in this movie.
Sometimes it's really hard. Yeah, it's not easy to take him seriously because he looks like such a gorilla. You know, like his physique is so almost comedic. That's why he did so well in professional wrestling. Like, and I don't mean that like in a goofy bad way. I mean like it's just like
he looks
yeah,
he looks like a drill sergeant who is like 4 foot
exactly.
tall.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like
Like
buff.
he has a really good physique for that stuff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Dave Bautista is a really good actor, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's got great. Like again, he was only Blade Runner for 2049, and he was honestly one of the best parts of that movie. It's like just a really intense interaction between him and Ryan Gosling, who's, as far as I'm concerned, another god tier actor. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, does that mean you're like a what do they call those omega males or whatever the fuck?" But no, but I just really like Ryan Gosling, like
omega males,
something like that. What do they call them? Like it's not an alpha, it's not a beta either, but it's like there's like a different kind of sigma, yeah, something like that. Yeah, there you go.
I don't
because
know.
of
Yeah,
the drive. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's a really good actor. Like I think he's a god tier actor, and he's really good at explaining like just deep, intense emotions like that are buried under the surface. And I think in a lot of ways that other actors can. So that's my 3 takes.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Blade Runner 2049 is like from the Johnny Depp trial where they tried to discredit Ana de Armas as like a naked girl on a billboard or something. And like I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I didn't know there's nudity in Blade Runner 2049. But yeah, I didn't watch it. So, is there nudity in it? There's not nudity in it.
In 2049, yeah, briefly. They're growing a new synth, and one slips out of a pod, and she's totally nude. And then she gets her throat slit. It's really intense.
Is it Ana de Armas?
Yeah, I think so. No, Ana de Armas. Oh, there is nudity too. The holograph. He has Ryan Gosling has a holograph girlfriend. The Blade Runner has a holograph.
Yeah. That's all I know about that movie is like they mention her like in the Johnny Depp trial to like try to discredit her barely being in the movie or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I just know I like 2049.
Oh, I remember what it was because in the trial they were trying to say how much Amber Heard was owed for like her work or whatever, and she wasn't getting that. And then like they're like, well, look at Ana de Armas, like she's one of the highest paid persons in Hollywood or whatever, and she was in Blade Runner 2049, and they're like, yeah, but she was like a naked model on a billboard, like she didn't do shit in that movie or something. And I was like, oh. And then I started Googling, and then I saw some older movies she was in, and don't advise it, kids. But if you're an adult male or female,
there you go.
You can Google that.
Yeah, I need to get going soon.
Yeah. All good. We're kind of just bullshitting anyway. So
spinning our wheels. Yeah, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of news going on right now. We're in a little bit of a gully, as it were. Good old terminology.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, there's news. It's just not interesting, and nerd shit is so toxic. Like it's just tough. But the Bad Batch was fun the first couple episodes, and I look forward to more. And hopefully, there will be a little more to talk about with those episodes. So, anyway, thanks everybody for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Do all the things. Follow the Nerd Ledger on Twitch if you want to watch us live, or whatever. Follow podcast, subscribe, like, rate, review, do all that bullshit. Much love, and we'll see you again. Bye.
Bye.